Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist David Jones with a slight diversion from the norm. Last night's snowfall around Nanaimo was just far too interesting to ignore, so here's a little bit of the world according to Woo. And I don't mean New Age stoner woo, I mean the world of weather according to Roger Woo, forecaster supreme at the Weather Office. Let's take a closer look. Here's the Mount Sicker radar from about 8 p.m. last night through 8 a.m. this morning. Now, this map sucks and illustrates why so many lifer meteorologist types are now blind. The red Xy thingy is, you guessed it, Nanaimo. When I launch the animation, first watch what develops over the southern Gulf Islands, and then what later develops near Nanaimo. Here we go. Let's watch it again. So the question I've been asked all day is, why did this happen? And here's where we get to Woo. Meteorologist Roger Woo has done a lot of research on East Vancouver Island snowstorms, and here's his assessment of what happened last night. This was nothing more than lake effect snow as per the Great Lakes, but with the usual West Coast quirks. A West Coast quirk is a challenging weather pattern often seen elsewhere in the country, but far more complicated in our neighborhood, and we like that, and people like us too. The water temperature in the Strait of Georgia is about 4 degrees Celsius right now. That seems cold, but when the air blowing over top of it is 5, 10, or 15 degrees colder and much drier, you have yourself a temperature contrast that encourages the air to suck moisture from the Salish Sea as it streams overhead. And because of our glorious and unique topography, that's terrain, it streams over the sea from many directions. Last night, Stream 1 came from the northwest. Stream 2 came from Howe Sound, and Stream 3 came from the Fraser Valley, all on account of that Arctic high-pressure system over the interior that is shoving bitterly cold air out to the coast. Throw in those bumps on the island known as mountains, and voila, you have 3 converging streams, an obstruction in the form of hills and mountains, and that air has nowhere to go but up, where it cools, condenses, and then happily precipitates a solid white material that we really haven't seen much of this year. Last night, apparently, 15 centimeters accumulated in some very local areas, making, I'm certain, Nanaimo seem like one giant movie set, perhaps sending the Twitterverse into convulsions with UFO and Macaulay Culkin sightings. So, what you need for a strange but quite normal and damn near impossible to pinpoint snow squall on the east coast of Vancouver Island is warm water, cold, moistening Arctic air, convergence, and some help from the terrain. Will we ever be able to predict these small-scale local weather phenomena? Well, here's last night's high-resolution and somewhat psychedelic wind forecast. If you take an aspirin and look closely, you'll see that this midnight forecast actually shows a northwest stream, the Howe Sound stream, the Fraser Valley stream over here, all converging on Nanaimo. And of course, we know the mountains are always there. Would a meteorologist looking at and trusting this wind prediction ever write a forecast that called for clear skies, except local blizzard conditions and 15 centimeters of snow? And just how would you react to that forecast? Because that would have been the perfect forecast last night. I don't think a meteorologist will ever make that call, but who knows? Maybe someday, because that is, after all, the whole purpose of Roger's research. That's it for today's YouTube. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned because tomorrow I'll have a lot more to say about the cold snap. Have a great evening.